So millions of Americans may finally see changes to their Social Security benefits, but not everyone agrees it's for the best. There's been a lot of discussion and questions in our community about Social Security lately, and if you've been wondering what the Social Security Fairness Act is all about and why it's stirring up so much debate, you're in the right place. The Social Security Fairness Act is set to undo policies that have penalized public sector workers for years. So is this overdue fairness, or are we putting the entire system at risk? Let's break it down together and talk about what this all means for you, your family, and your future. First off, let's cover what the Social Security Fairness Act actually does. It's all about repealing two long-standing provisions, the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, or GPO. If those terms sound complicated, don't worry, you're not alone. Basically, these provisions reduce Social Security benefits for people who've worked in public sector jobs, like teachers, firefighters, and police officers, and who also receive pensions from those jobs. For years, these rules have been criticized for being unfair because they've led to situations where public sector workers see their Social Security benefits slashed, sometimes down to almost nothing. So then, let's put this into perspective with an example. Imagine you're a teacher who's spent part of your career working in private sector jobs. You've paid into Social Security during those years, but because of the WEP, your benefits are reduced, sometimes by as much as half. Then there's the GPO, which affects spousal or survivor benefits. If you're a retired firefighter with a government pension and your spouse passed away, you might not be able to collect the full Social Security benefits they left behind. It's no wonder so many people in these professions have been calling for change. Now, supporters of the Fairness Act argue that this repeal is a long overdue correction. They say it's about fairness, ensuring that if you've paid into Social Security, you should get the benefits you've earned, regardless of your career. And also there's another big point they make: eliminating WEP and GPO could encourage more people to enter public service jobs, which are already facing staffing shortages in many states. Think about it, if a career in teaching or firefighting doesn't come with the risk of losing out on Social Security benefits, it becomes a much more attractive option. But, and this is a big but, not everyone is thrilled about the changes. Critics are worried about the financial impact on Social Security as a whole. The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that repealing WEP and GPO will add nearly $200 billion to the federal deficit over the next decade. And there's another concern: Social Security is already facing solvency issues. Right now, it's projected that the trust fund could be depleted in about 9 years, and this change could speed that up by another 6 months. For critics, it's a question of priorities. They're asking, should we focus on making the system more equitable now, or should we be working to ensure it's sustainable for future generations? And here's where it gets even more complicated. Some argue that the WEP and GPO were originally put in place to prevent something called double dipping, where individuals could collect full Social Security benefits on top of a government pension. The idea was to make the system fair for everyone. But the reality is, these provisions have ended up penalizing public sector workers in ways that feel anything but fair. So, what does this mean for the average person? Well, if you're one of the nearly 3 million people affected by WEP and GPO, the repeal could be life-changing. It might mean getting the full benefits you've earned, which could make a huge difference in your retirement. On the other hand, if you're one of the 69 million other Americans receiving Social Security, you might be worried about what this could mean for the program's future. Could it lead to benefit cuts later? That's the question on a lot of people's minds. And then there's the political side of things. This bill had bipartisan support, which is rare these days, but not everyone in Congress was on board. Some senators argued that we need a broader plan to address Social Security's challenges rather than making changes that only benefit a specific group. Others proposed raising the full retirement age or finding other ways to offset the costs, but those ideas didn't gain much traction. Now, let's talk about what happens next. The bill is heading to the president's desk, and it's expected to be signed into law. Once that happens, the changes will take effect, and those affected by WEP and GPO will finally see their benefits restored. But the larger questions about Social Security's future remain unanswered. How do we ensure the program stays solvent? Will we see more reforms down the road? These are the kinds of issues that will need to be addressed sooner rather than later. So, what can you do in the meantime? If you're affected by these changes, it's a good idea to review your Social Security statement and see how the repeal might impact your benefits. And for everyone else, this is a reminder of how important it is to stay informed and engaged on these issues. Social Security is a program that affects all of us, directly or indirectly, and understanding the challenges it faces is the first step toward finding solutions. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the Social Security Fairness Act? Do you see it as a step toward equity, or are you worried about the financial implications? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. After all, the more we understand about these issues, the better equipped we'll be to navigate them, both as individuals and as a community.